Have you ever felt as if something was tightening your chest for no clear reason? An invisible weight that crushes you from within? Maybe no one notices, but you feel it, and you feel it deeply. The silent pain that gnaws at the soul is not weakness. It is a sign that your sensitivity is spiritual. There are battles that only chosen people face, because it is precisely these people who carry within them a different kind of strength, a mission. Depression does not come by chance. It tries to extinguish the shine of those born to illuminate, but that shine is still there. Even if covered by sadness, you feel everything more intensely. What seems small to others becomes a storm in you. That's because your soul is connected to what is invisible. You perceive pains that others ignore, but it is in this deep feeling that your power to transform lives also resides. Anxiety tries to steal your present. It makes you relive the past or fear the future. But your strength is in the now. It is here, in this very moment, that you can change the direction of your life. The enemy knows this, which is why he wants to distract you with what has already passed or with what has not yet arrived. Admitting that you need help does not diminish you. On the contrary, it shows courage. There is healing in the act of kneeling and admitting that you cannot do it alone. God draws close to the humble, to those who open their hearts. You do not need to bear everything in silence. Letting go of pride is the beginning of lightness. The fight is yours. No one will feel your pain like you do, but that does not mean you are alone. God hears you in the closed room, in your most confused thoughts. When you withdraw, surrender, He acts. Advice helps, medications balance, but only His presence transforms. Even when you think you have improved, keep your eyes open. The journey continues. The enemy watches, waiting for a moment of weakness. That's why you should take care of your thoughts. Be attentive to what you feel. If your faith wavers, return to the Word. You have already overcome before. You will overcome again. Sadness tries to convince you that no one understands what you are going through. But there are others like you. People who have also been touched by this pain and found a way. Many have crossed this valley. The difference is that they chose to continue, even while crying. And you can too. Each tear that fell has meaning. Your suffering is molding you for something greater. Those who feel deep pain will one day carry healing in their hands. Your story may be the answer someone is looking for. It was not in vain. You are being prepared to guide others in the darkness. The world needs you standing, whole, healed. Your light is missed. That is why they tried to silence you. But now you know. You were chosen. Pain does not define who you are. It only revealed how important you are. Choose to fight. Choose to live. Choose to be the answer. If this word found your heart, share it with those who also need it. Remember, before you were born here, you were already chosen in heaven. There are pains that do not show up in tests, that no one understands just by looking. But they are there, alive, present. Some people manage to move on without feeling so much. You do not. And that is not a defect. It is a sign that you have something more. You feel the weight of things that seem small to others. A misplaced word, a sudden silence, a distant gaze. Nothing goes unnoticed. Your soul is like an antenna. It picks up everything. And that is why you feel so deeply. It is not weakness, it is sensitivity. This sensitivity is not common. It is spiritual. You perceive what lies beyond the surface. The world is full of people who live on autopilot. But you do not. You feel the atmosphere of places. You see what others hide behind their smiles. You notice what no one says aloud. This type of pain does not have an exact name. Sometimes it's an emptiness, At other times, a tightening that does not go away. You try to explain, but you cannot find the words. You just know it hurts. And it seems that no one understands, but you are not alone in this feeling. This pain you carry is a sign of an awakened soul. Your connection to the spiritual is deeper. It's as if you see colors that no one else sees. And of course, this weighs on you, because those who see more feel more. But it is also this ability that makes you capable of healing, guiding, and transforming. People like this do not come into the world by chance. They are prepared in silence. They are trained in pain. Not because they deserve to suffer, but because they have been called for something greater. You may not have asked for this sensitivity, but it is there. And when you start to understand this, everything changes. You begin to realize that you are not broken. You have just been shaped differently. What hurts today may become your mission tomorrow. Your pain has a reason, and your feeling, no matter how difficult it is also a tool. Many times, you have felt out of place, as if you did not fit in places, as if you were too much for others. But it is not you who is too much. It is the world that has not yet learned to embrace those who truly feel. You are not the problem. You are part of the solution. There are people who need someone like you. Someone who understands pain without judgment, who can be present without needing to say much, who has the gift of seeing with the heart. This is your strength, even if it seems like a weakness today. The first step is to recognize pain exists, but it does not define you. The tiredness is real, but it is not the end. The emptiness screams, but there is something greater wanting to fill you. And that something greater is the purpose behind all that you feel. You are stronger than you imagine. Because feeling so much and still moving on is an act of courage. Every day you got up, even without wanting to, was proof of your strength. And that strength did not come from nowhere. It came from your connection to the higher. Do not be ashamed of your pain, nor of your intensity. That is part of who you are. And being who you are, the way you are, already has immense value. You are chosen. And being chosen is not easy, but it is precious. Anxiety often starts as a small thought, a memory, a worry, something that seems harmless but grows quickly. Suddenly you are caught in a whirlwind that pulls you away from the present. You think about what has passed, about mistakes you wish you could erase, about things you could have done differently. But the past cannot be changed, and yet it steals your peace. At other times, the fear of the future becomes gigantic. What if I fail? What if nothing changes? What if I lose everything? These questions have no answers right now, and yet they paralyze you. Anxiety does that. It puts your mind in places where your body cannot be. You were not born to live trapped by what has already happened or by what has not yet occurred. Your power is in the now. It is in this very moment that something can change, that a new choice can be made, that a new direction can be followed. The enemy knows this. He wants to draw your attention away from the present, because here, in this instant, is where God works. It is here that He speaks to you. In the silence of now, in the conscious breathing, in the simple prayer, in the small step you take today. You may have a million reasons to worry, but you also have a God who cares for even what you do not see. Anxiety lies to you. It tells you that everything is out of control, that it won't work out. But the truth is that you are not alone. When you are anxious, your heart races ahead. Your head goes back in time, and you lose touch with yourself. But there is a way to return. Breathe, pray. Focus on something small that you can do today. You do not need to solve everything now, just what fits in this moment. God does not require you to have all the answers, just that you trust, that you surrender, that you walk, even with fear, even without understanding. You do not need to control everything, because the one who chose you has never lost control of anything. Anxiety does not disappear overnight, but you can weaken its power little by little. When you refuse to feed the thoughts that trap you, when you choose to trust, even without feeling, when you decide to rest in the present. You have already survived many difficult days. You have faced moments that seemed impossible, and you are here. That is no small thing. Your history already proves that you are stronger than you think. The pain is real. The fear is real too. But the now is where hope resides. Return to it. Return to yourself. God is in this instant, waiting for you to look at Him and say, "Help me to live one day at a time." There comes a moment when trying to be strong all the time becomes a burden. Pretending that everything is fine is exhausting. Smiling when inside everything is screaming becomes a weight. And it's at this point that many think of giving up. But there is a path that frees you, recognizing that you cannot do it alone. Healing begins when you let go of pride, when you stop trying to prove that you can endure more than you can, when you stop saying that everything is okay just to avoid worrying anyone. Being strong sometimes means having the courage to say, "I need help." You were not created to carry the world on your shoulders. There is a God who wants to help you, but He is waiting for you to invite Him. And this invitation begins with a simple yet powerful gesture. Bowing your head, bending your knees, and opening your heart. The most sincere prayer is the one that comes from exhaustion. When you no longer know what to say, but still surrender. When the words fail, but the heart pours out. That is where the miracle begins. Not in perfection, but in surrender. Humility is not diminishing yourself. It is understanding that you do not need to be everything all the time. That it is okay not to know, not to be able to, not to feel strong today. It is in this space of truth that God acts. He does not reject those who come with sincerity. Many people think that showing vulnerability is a sign of weakness, but hiding the pain is what weakens. The soul begins to close off, the heart hardens, and little by little, the person loses touch with themselves. But you can still return. There is still time to let go of what is dragging you down. When you say, "I can't handle it," you are not failing. You are acknowledging that you are human, and this touches heaven, because God is not looking for perfect people. He is looking for broken hearts, ready to start over. Liberation does not happen in a shout. It comes in the silence of surrender. In the moment you take a deep breath and say, "I don't want to fight alone anymore." This step can change everything. Not because circumstances transform immediately, but because you change from within. There are wounds that heal faster when you stop trying to hide them. When you let the light in. And the light comes in when you lower your guard, when you take off the armor, when you stop pretending that you do not feel pain. You do not need to have all the answers. You do not need to understand everything. You just need to take the first step. Open your heart and let God take care of what you cannot. That is humility. And it has the power to open doors that strength has never opened. From the moment you recognize your limitations, a new path forms. You begin to walk lighter. You start to trust more. And little by little, you realize that you are not alone on this journey. The pain that has brought you here does not need to accompany you forever. But it can be the reason for your reconnection with heaven. It can be the starting point for a more authentic, lighter, and meaningful life. If today you are tired, exhausted, overwhelmed, do not fight alone anymore. Speak to God in whatever way you can, with words or with tears. He understands the language of your heart, and He is ready to lift you up. There are battles that only you can fight. No matter how much people love you, they cannot enter your mind. They do not feel the hidden pains in your chest, and they will not always understand what you face in the silence of your room. But that does not mean that you are alone. There is a presence that knows you entirely, that listens to even what you cannot say, that knows when your strength is at its limit and your soul is hanging by a thread. This presence is real, and it is closer than you think. You have tried everything. Perhaps you have read texts, listened to advice, followed recommendations. All of this has its value. But there is something that no medicine, no therapy, no human word can do. Reach the depth of your soul. This war is spiritual, and your heart is the battlefield. That is why sometimes it seems that the pain is inexplicable. You get a little better, and then suddenly everything collapses again. But there is a place where healing truly begins, in intimacy with God. It is in that moment when you close the door of your room, turn off the world, and even without strength, you kneel. Not because you feel like it, but because you understand that if you do not do this, you will sink. It is in that moment that heaven moves. God is not waiting for perfect prayers. He wants your truth, your confusion, your tears, your exhaustion. He wants you as you are, with the pieces scattered, with the cluttered thoughts, because it is in the chaos that He builds new life. The struggle is yours, yes, but you do not have to win it with your own strength. You only need to connect to the source. When you pour yourself out before Him, something invisible happens. The peace that makes no sense begins to touch your mind. Hope, even weak, starts to rekindle. No one will cry out for you with the same intensity as you do. No one will feel your despair like you feel it. But when you decide to seek, even without understanding, you awaken what is most powerful within you, the faith that persists. This faith does not shout. It whispers. It does not leap. It endures. It is not always about winning the day. Sometimes it is about not giving up in the middle of it. It is about saying, "Today it hurt, but I am still here." That is already a miracle in progress. You do not need to be a giant to win this war. You just need to be willing to continue, one step at a time. And each step toward the presence of God, no matter how small, has the power to move mountains within you. When we start to get better, something curious happens. The pain diminishes a bit, the smile slowly returns, and we begin to breathe better. At this point, many think that the worst is over, and it may very well have passed. But that does not mean that the journey is over. The healing process is like a construction site, brick by brick, day after day. It is not a final point, but a continuous journey. And that is exactly why vigilance is so important. Not to make you afraid, but to keep you awake. The enemy is subtle. He does not come announcing himself with warnings or loud noises. He hides in small thoughts, in disguised distractions, in feelings that seem harmless. He waits for your distraction, your self-confidence. That moment when you let your guard down because you think everything is already resolved. But not every improvement is a complete healing. Sometimes it is just an interval, a pause to breathe. And in that interval, you need to be attentive, not to live in alertness, but to keep your eyes focused on where the light is, in the presence of God, in the Word, in the truth that keeps you standing. When sadness tries to return, pay attention. When the mind starts racing again, stop and notice. Do not fight alone. Return to the place where you were strengthened. Reread that passage that supported you. Say that simple prayer again. The secret is in repeating what lifted you up the first time. To be vigilant is to care for your mind as one protects a treasure, because it is indeed precious. It is in it that the attacks begin. It is in it that the lies settle. But it is also in it that faith grows, that peace establishes itself, that thoughts are renewed. Do not rely solely on how you feel. Emotions are fleeting. What seems true today may seem false tomorrow. That is why you should lean on what is eternal. God does not change. His love does not fail. His promise remains, even on days when everything inside you seems to doubt. You have overcome battles before. You have risen from painful falls. And that was not luck. It was strength. It was grace. It was a choice. Now, with more awareness, you can protect what you have already achieved. You do not need to return to the bottom of the well to remember where you came from. Vigilance is not fear. It is wisdom. It is knowing that healing is a path, not a finish line. That even on good days, you must take care of what is being built within. Nourish the soul with things that generate life, not confusion. There are days when you will feel strong. On others, not so much. But the difference now is that you know where to find strength. And this awareness changes everything. You are no longer in the dark, groping around alone. You have discovered that there is direction, and that is powerful. The process is not over, and that is good news. It means you are still growing. You are still being shaped. You are still becoming the person you were meant to be. And every day of vigilance is a step in this transformation. Take care of yourself as one cares for something sacred. Because your life is exactly that, a precious gift that carries a purpose. And the more you watch over it with love, the more prepared you will be for everything that is yet to come. One of the cruelest traps of depression is isolation. It whispers that no one understands, that no one cares, that you are the only one going through this. And when you believe it, you shut down. You withdraw. You become silent. And the silence begins to consume you from within. But that is not the truth. There are many other people facing battles similar to yours. People who also feel this invisible pain, who have thought about giving up but decided to continue. And what keeps these people standing is not the absence of pain, but the choice not to surrender to it. You are not alone. It may seem that no one sees what you feel. You may have tried to speak and were not understood. But there are people who have walked through this valley, and they have overcome. They found a way. And you can find your way too. The difference between those who sink and those who cross over is not in the pain, but in the decision. Those who choose to continue, even slowly, even with fear, begin to write a new story. And the more you walk, the more you discover that there are others by your side. There are people who are fighting in silence, just like you. There are people who are praying for strength, like you. There are people who have fallen, got back up, and today extend their hands to those who are still on the ground. You do not have to go through this alone. When you allow yourself to share, even if it is with just one person, something inside you lightens. Because sharing the pain is the first step for it to begin losing its strength. And gradually the darkness gives way to the light. Do not hide. Do not stay silent. Your struggle is real, but you are not alone. There is an invisible network of people who are in this together, each facing it in their own way. And when you find these souls, you understand that you are part of something greater, an army of light. Nothing you went through was in vain. Every tear, every night in silence, every doubt that weighed on your chest, all of this is being transformed into something greater. The pain that tried to stop you was actually preparing you, shaping you from within, causing something that the world needs to grow, a heart capable of healing. Those who feel deeply understand deeply, and those who understand have the power to reach people who feel invisible. Your story, with all its wounds, will bring relief to others. What seems confusing today will be a testimony tomorrow. You are being formed to be the answer. You have been trained in the dark to shine in the light. The loneliness that broke you now strengthens you. The pain that paralyzed you is awakening a mission. You were not born to stay down. You were born to lift others up. And that begins when you decide not to give up on yourself. Hell tried to extinguish your light because it knew your impact. But you are here. And being here is already a victory. Depression is not your identity. It is just a season, not the destination. From now on, choose to live with intention. Choose to rise up even without understanding everything. You are necessary. The world needs your healed version. And when you rise, others also find the strength to stand up. You are chosen. From before you were born, you were already part of something divine. If this message touched your soul, share it. Someone else needs to hear this today.